What is video back in another video? Today's video, man, I'm gonna go over a Modern Warfare 3 retrospective, looking back at Modern Warfare 3's life cycle now that Season 6 is just around the corner and BO6 is less than a month away. Now, normally these would be super in-depth, but I kind of just want to go over my opinions on the multiplayer, the Warzone, the zombies throughout the life cycle of this game, coming from Modern Warfare 2, and then going into BO6. By the way, just want to let everyone know that the upload should be back to normal now. My mom's surgery went well, so she's out, and I've been spending time with her the last couple of days, making sure she's good. But everything seems to be up on the up, and so as long as everything stays on the up and up, I should be back to normal uploads and more consistent uploads. So, pretty dope right there. Anyway, let's hop into the MW3 retrospective. So, when Modern Warfare 3 dropped, there was a lot of concerns, mainly due to the fact that slide canceling was back and the movement was back, and I still think that's a concern in the general consensus. The only people that care about having faster movement are usually the badder players, people that need to have crutches. If you're a good player in COD, if you're playing for a long time, then you would feel the same. The movement really doesn't need to be there. But after Modern Warfare 2's amazingness and the just amazing gameplay that Modern Warfare 2 had originally, there was a lot of concern during the Modern Warfare 3 beta of whether or not this movement was needed. Obviously, certain people loved it, certain people hated it. Me being on the latter of the two, I hated it. I didn't think it was necessary. When Season 1 and 2 came out from Modern Warfare 3, I was working on Interstellar, and I was working on Borealis, and I was working on Bioluminescent, and so I got really familiar when with the game's movement when I was going for these camos, right? You know, getting over almost 1,000 camos in the game, getting hundreds of thousands of kills in zombies and multiplayer, and putting over 1,000 hours into Modern Warfare 3, and so my opinions on this game's movement changed throughout its life cycle. You know, as I got more comfortable in this game and I got more confident in my builds, my opinion definitely changed compared to what it would have been in the past had it not, you know, had the chance to grind camos and get used to it. And I kind of feel like that's how it's going to be with BO6. I think right now in BO6, I'm not a huge fan of the movement, but I think once I'm in there and I'm grinding camos, I'm getting confident in that movement and I'm getting familiar with it more. I think it'll be a more of an enjoyable experience overall. But it wasn't always smooth sailing for Modern Warfare 3. There's a lot of problems with Modern Warfare 3. Modern Warfare 3 has been one of the most buggiest, broken games we've had in COD in a very, very long time. Every update has seemingly broke the game in some form or has caused issues. Zombies for the first 3 months after launch was a completely broken, utter mess. I think I crashed more times in those 3 months than any of the CODs previously. It was really, really bad. And then they also struggled with imbalancing. Things are still imbalanced, don't get that wrong, don't get it twisted. But it was even worse back then with the MCW having no recoil, super high damage, the Rival 9 being super broken, the Renetti being super broken. So a lot of things were unbalanced back then as well. And then obviously we had our other problems being that we had maps that were trash, we had SPMM and EOM being high, which there still are. And we obviously have the cheating that's still vampant in the game today. And so these things continue to hurt the experience that this game had delivered. Now, I will say the game is in a far better state in Modern Warfare 3 right now currently than it has been pretty much at all throughout its life cycle. I think it's in a really good state right now. The game feels good. It's not crashing nearly as much. There is problems, and we're going to go over here in a second, but I think that we're overall in a better golden age for this game than we have been the last couple of months going in the past. Now, we've had 5 seasons so far. Some of the big things that I want to take away from each season is that the fact that all the black cells have been phenomenal. Sledgehammer Games just always knocks at the park when it comes to cosmetics. The graphic designers at Sledgehammer Games are some of the best that we've ever had in a Call of Duty dev teams. We have like the Darrow Dixon stuff coming out here in Season 6, but then we also had the Michonne and Rick and Michonne spinoff. We've had the God of War, the Godzilla spinoffs. We've had a bunch of other small tier spin-offs, and it's been remarkable at the content that we have gotten. The weapons have been pretty decent, I would say. Them bringing back the compound bow from Black Ops 3's Specialist, I think that was a really sick idea, and it's one of my favorite guns in the game right now to run. So satisfying. We've had some other really, really good guns, like the BAL 27 being brought back, the Spaz 12, and so I've been blown away by the weapons, the STG. Now, it does kind of suck that Season 6 we're only getting 2 guns. We're getting the modern day bar from World War II, but it's a modern version called the H. I think it's called the H car or H bar. Could be wrong on that, but it's basically the modern day version of the bar. And then we're getting a new LMG as well, an AK LMG. So only 2 guns. Kind of disappointing, but Season 6 is only going to be about a month anyway, so it doesn't make much sense. They're not going to have a reason to add a mid-season anyway, so I understand why they're doing what they're doing. It just sucks that we didn't get more weapons off RIP. Some other big things, too, that I think are really important to talk about are the camos. This is the last COD to have the Modern Warfare 2 style leveling system, and so BO6 will not have any level requirements for camos, which is great, but they are making you get a shit ton of camos per gun, again, like Modern Warfare 2019 and Cold War Vanguard, which I think is a bad thing. I don't think we should be having to do 20 camos per gun. So Modern Warfare 2 and 3 had the 4 camo system, 3 mastery system. You have to do the 3 masteries in order to get the 4th mastery, which is the final mastery. And for me, Orion from Modern Warfare 2 is amazing, and I know a lot of people don't like Orion, and I know a lot of people don't like Interstellar. And I think Orion and Interstellar are very, very similar, but I think that they're both amazing in their own rights. Borealis was phenomenal, and then Bioluminescent is extremely underrated camo, mainly because it's for Modern Warfare 2 guns for zombies, and so I think the problem with the COD community is they're very confused on what camos should be used and what camos shouldn't be used. There's a half the community that wants, like me, that wants camos that are crazy looking, that are awesome, that are unique, and that are shiny and bright and cool and vibrant, because that's what we want when we're grinding for something, right? If you're spending hundreds of hours going for a camo, I want my camo to make me stand out. I want to be the guy that has that camo. You know what I mean? Then there's the other side of the community that is not, I would say, anti those style of camos, but they are more leaning towards they are not a fan of those camos. In the sense of they are more fans of the more vibrant standard camos. So like your dragon camos or your fun camos, right? Things that are not animated, but they're still vibrant. And then there's a smaller portion of that community that wants the realism camos or no camos at all. And I think there's a place for those people, but I don't think in the modern era, I don't think it's worthwhile having a grind in the game that makes it not worth it, right? It's the same thing for whatever it may be, right? Operator skins, etc., battle passes, etc. You want the grind to be worth it, right? And I feel like if it's not, then there's no point, right? So, Modern Warfare 3 in general has had just a really unfair period of time. Modern Warfare 2 came out, then Modern Warfare 3 came out less than a year later, or exactly a year later, because of the whole 2-year system. And then Modern Warfare 3 had a year of time, but it has been siphoned by the community and by the dev team for so long. And this game never had a chance to be anything special, okay? I mean, it's important to know that. I think if you know that, it's makes for a better experience on both sides. Because Modern Warfare 3 was being siphoned for content from the Activision team and then obviously the COD dev teams like Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer and Treyarch. And so Sledgehammer really never had an opportunity to make this game to the best of it could ever be. And the reason we know this is because Treyarch has basically all but confirmed that they have been taking some of Black Ops, MW3's DLC maps for Black Ops 6. So a lot of the 66 maps that we were supposed to get for this game, we just never got. So I know a lot of people are mad that the content's dry on Modern Warfare 3 side of things, but people also have to remember that there's a lot of other dev teams that get a lot of voice and get a lot of power over Sledgehammer, and I think that it's partially to blame for why we have not been getting as much content as we probably should have. And it's also the fact that it's competing against Black Ops 6 when it comes to the most modern COD, in the sense that Black Ops 6 had 4 years of development. This game had, 16 months? 20 months, the most? And that's a problem. A game should not have 16 months to be made. I'm sorry, it shouldn't. It should be given at least a year or more, right? I don't think 16 months, I guess 16 months is a year, but whatever, you know what I mean. It should be given a lot longer in time than that, right? Because these games take a lot of time to game test. I've talked to multiple game testers, and they all say how stressed it is over at Activision testing these games, because you're testing Black Ops 6 today, tomorrow you're testing Modern Warfare 3 games content, then back to BO6, and you're just flopping, constantly testing new games, and it's very stressful. And I don't think that we as a community owe it to them to give them kind of, not necessarily give them slack, but give them the benefit of the doubt on some things. Like, people are getting mad about cosmetics, or getting mad because the gun doesn't look historically accurate or something, I think is the wrong direction to put content in, right? I mean, if you're going to be mad at anything, be mad at skill-based matchmaking, EOM, be mad at bad maps, be mad at guns that are overpowered. These are the things that we need to be focusing on more than, say, aim assist or cosmetics, right? Because those are not the real problems at the end of the day. So, let's go into some of the things that I think Modern Warfare 3 is really struggling with now. And this is where the retrospective gets kind of rough to hear for my guys that are fans of Modern Warfare 3. The biggest problem that Modern Warfare 3 suffers from right now is the lack of care to counter cheaters. The honest truth. This game has no care in the world that people are cheating. I've run into a cheater almost every single lobby. Now, doubt it. It could be because I'm in the Shadowban lobbies from, dropping so many high kill games and so many wins, etc. But the amount of cheaters I'm interacting with on a daily basis is insane. Insane. And I think that's a super big problem that needs to be talked about. And hopefully going forward into BO6, they learn from this and they update Ricochet. Because Ricochet doesn't work. I'll be real. If it works, I wouldn't be fighting many cheaters. People can say that people are just better. No. These guys are flat out cheating. You can see the walls. You can see the aim assist mods. You can see the tracking. You can see the rapid fire mods on their pistol. You can see these things are very obvious, right? This is not just fine tuned aim. You're like, oh, that's a cheater when it's really just something that's good. No, this is like straight up wax. And I've played with people all the time that confirm all this, that these cheaters exist. And so BO6 and the end of Modern Warfare 3 really need, and Season 6 of Modern Warfare 3 specifically, really need to get it together when it comes to cheaters. Another big thing in Modern Warfare 3 is struggling with right now is the lack of grinding content. And what I mean by this is, during the beginning of the game's life cycle, we had tons of events. Like every week we had an event. We had new guns. We had all these camos to grind for, etc., etc., etc. And it feels like in the last month or two, we really have lost a lot of content in terms of stuff to grind for and stuff to work towards. Now, doubt it, I have most stuff in the game complete, and that could be why, but I don't think it is. I think it's just the game is literally low on content at the moment. And hopefully, maybe BO6 will fix that. But my biggest concern is BO6 is going to do the same thing Modern Warfare 3 did, where it's going to blow its load way too early. Modern Warfare 3 had this issue where in the beginning of its life cycle, it was pumping out all this content so rapidly And I think they just got worn out. They couldn't sustain that type of content release. And I think that's the biggest problem MW3 is struggling with right now when it comes to content, is the fact that it just feels like they're blowing not a whole lot of loads when it comes to content. For example, Season 6, we have just that one camo for the event, for the weeklies. Then we have the 2 new guns, possibly an event, and then we're pretty much contentless throughout the rest of the season until they drop a special event whenever they do. Before, we were pretty confident that every couple weeks or every week or two we were going to get something new to grind, and they haven't been doing that, and this sucks. And I really wish that they would put a little more effort. Maybe they will towards the end of this game's life cycle, but it's really time will tell. But in all, MW3 is a game that I think is an amazing game, especially with like the prestige camos and stuff. But I feel like this game just came out at a really bad time, right? It came out right after MW2. All the haters on MW2 that were wrong, they were all wrong. MW2 is amazing, but all the haters from MW2 came over to this game, and all the people that love this game are not going to stand up for it because of a few bad decisions or because they don't feel like it. And so I feel like that's why a lot of the community hates this game. Majority of the community that I've seen so far hates it, but I think it's more in the lines of the people that hate it are just a lot louder than the people that like it. And because of all this hate, I feel like this game is just basically getting tossed for Season 6. I think Season 6 is probably the weakest season that we've had in a long time when it comes to just the quantity of content. There's a lot more quality items, like we're getting Daryl, and we're getting Terrifier, and we're getting Michael Myers, and the 2 new guns, and a new Black Cell, but the quality doesn't always mean the best for when it comes to quantity, right? There's like past seasons for Modern Warfare 2019, Vanguard, Cold War, Modern Warfare 2, all had a ton more content, and some of that content was even better than what we have now. So I definitely think that they're kind of just, I wouldn't say they're giving up on this game, but I think they're slowly winding down for content, and that worries me for the rest of this life cycle, because we still have this game for another 60 something days almost. So it's very disappointing that they're doing this, but it is what it is. Otherwise, I think I would give Modern Warfare 3's probably a 6.5 out of 10. It was a good game, but I definitely think that like once you unlock all the camos, get all the guns level up, get max rank, I don't feel like there's much left, and I feel like that hurts it. And the game itself is just not as enjoyable as, say, Modern Warfare 2 or World War 2 or Black Ops 3 or Infinite or Advanced Warfare or anything of those. So like the replayability I think is a lot lower for me. But this is my retrospective. You might have a different retrospective. Let me know down below what you guys think of Modern Warfare 3. What do you think are the best things they did, the worst things, things that you think are just kind of mid? For me, I wanted to just make a video talking about Modern Warfare 3, just because I feel like it's something I haven't done in a long time, is just talk about this game and what I liked and didn't like. One of my favorite things about Modern Warfare 3 is the fact that they've had more enjoyable fun weapons like the spear, like the sword, the crossbow, the compound bow, etc. And so I will give them credit for that. As for Warzone side of things, I know I didn't really mention that. And for zombies, there's not much to talk about other than the fact that I think it was a underused game mode, especially since they ended it with Season 5 and they didn't continue with Season 6. I think zombies was fun for camo grinding, but once you're done camo grinding, it's kind of just whatever. And the same for Warzone. Warzone, never really been a fan of Warzone. I do think that the Rebirth Island and those type of things are fun, but I will say that I'm not nearly as enjoyable for Warzone for me as it was last year. Last year I actually quite enjoyed Warzone with Modern Warfare 2 stuff, but yeah, with that being said, my rating still kind of stands 6.5 out of 10. Hoping BO6 is better, but we'll never know. We will know. Not until it releases. And the beta doesn't have me full of hopes, if I'm being honest. Beta does not have me feeling any type of way. But, yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I know it's kind of a random video when it comes to retrospectives, not as high quality as I usually do. But I wanted to try a different format, a different style of recording these retrospectives, because everyone kind of does the same thing for retrospectives. And I wanted this one to be more opinion-based. So if you guys enjoyed that, let me know down below. But yeah, let me know down below also how you guys feel, if you guys feel different than I do, or if you agree. And videos are hopefully back to normal soon, so you should start seeing regular videos. I'm trying to fix my sleep schedule. That's my biggest problem right now too, is I'm sleeping most of the morning and up late afternoon, and it's usually too late to record. So hopefully I can fix that today, and you guys will see more normal videos at a normal time, like a normal person. But yeah, love you guys. You guys are one of a kind, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.